Welcome to The Explainer. You ever have one of those moments? A thought just pops into your head fully formed, and you think, where did that come from? Well, today we're digging into a really old guide that tackles this exact thing. It calls them supernatural locutions, these mysterious inner voices, and we're going to explore where they might come from and what they could mean.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll try to get a handle on what these inner voices even are. Then we're going to break them down into a few different types. After that, we'll look at where they could be coming from, which is fascinating. Then we'll get into the potential dangers, and there are some big ones. And finally, wrap up with some, well, pretty surprising advice on how to deal with it all.
All right, let's dive right into this feeling, this experience that's so common, but honestly pretty weird when you stop and think about it.
You know that feeling, right? It's not your usual brainstorming or problem solving. It's more like an idea just arrives, completely packaged and separate from your own train of thought. We're about to unpack a really interesting, really old framework for understanding exactly this. The author of the text we're looking at gets straight to the point. They're not messing around. They see this as a kind of manual for navigating our own complex internal world, with the goal of helping a person find a clear and honest faith without getting sidetracked or deceived.
Okay, so this is a really important distinction. We are not talking about hearing voices with your ears. That's a whole different thing. These locutions are all internal. They're words, ideas, concepts that show up directly in your mind or spirit. No physical senses involved at all.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The author says, look, this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. They actually break these experiences down into three very distinct categories, and each one has its own flavor, its own set of rules.
So these are the three big ones: successive, formal, and substantial. Getting the difference between them is absolutely key to understanding this whole framework. So let's take them one by one.
First up, we've got successive locutions. Picture this. You're meditating or maybe just really deep in thought, and all of a sudden your thoughts start flowing with this incredible clarity and logic. It's so perfect, it feels like someone else is doing the thinking for you. The author says it's like your own mind is being used as an instrument.
Now, formal locutions, that's a totally different ballgame. With these, there's no question. It feels external. Your mind isn't actively working, it's just receiving. It's like a message gets delivered right to your mental doorstep, even if you weren't thinking about that topic at all.
And last, we've got the most intense type, substantial locutions. Get this. These words don't just convey information, they actively create the reality they're talking about. So if the inner words were "be at peace," it wouldn't just be a nice suggestion. Bam! You'd be filled with this deep, unshakable peace on the spot. The words do the thing they're saying. So if these words and ideas aren't always coming from you, where are they coming from? This is the million-dollar question, right? And the text lays out three potential sources, especially for that first type we talked about, the successive locutions.
I mean, that's the real puzzle here. If you're sure it's not just your own regular thinking, then what's the alternative? Well, this guide says you've basically got three very different possibilities on the table.
And this chart just lays it all out so clearly. The same kind of experience, that feeling of a voice that isn't yours, could come from a divine source, or it could be your own mind working in overdrive, or it could be from a deceptive source trying to mess with you. The words might even sound good in all three cases. But look at the effects. One leads to love and humility, another to pride, and the third leads to ruin. This is high-stakes stuff.
And that leads us to what is maybe the author's biggest concern. This is where they put on the brakes and wave a huge red flag. The serious, profound danger of misunderstanding these experiences, or worse, getting hooked on them.
The author does not mince words here. They're saying that chasing these experiences, paying too much attention to them, even if they seem good, is a huge spiritual mistake. Why? Because you start focusing on the cool supernatural feeling instead of what really matters, which is just faith.
So how in the world are you supposed to tell the difference? The advice is actually pretty simple. Stop analyzing the words and start looking at the results. You'll know them by their fruits, as the saying goes. Do these experiences make you more proud and self-satisfied? That's a bad sign. Or do they make you more humble, more loving, more real? That's what you're looking for.
Okay, so if this whole thing is a potential minefield, what are you supposed to do? What's the safe way to walk through this inner landscape?
And the advice is, honestly, it's pretty radical. The big takeaway is ignore them. Pay them no attention. Don't try to analyze them. Don't try to hold on to them. The safe path, according to this text, is to deliberately turn away from these special experiences and just put all your focus on simple faith and love. And, super important, talk it over with someone wise you trust.
This is such a paradox, but it's the core of the whole argument. The real spiritual growth doesn't come from decoding the secret message of the locution, it comes from the strength and humility you build by choosing not to focus on it. It's like the author is saying that getting caught up in these phenomena, no matter how amazing they seem, is a distraction from the real work.
And in the end, this guide from centuries ago leaves us with a question that feels more relevant than ever. In our own minds, which are full of so much noise, so much inner chatter, how do we tell the difference between the real signal and all the static? This text suggests the answer isn't in looking for a louder, more spectacular signal, but in humbly and quietly choosing what we tune into every single day.